Yo, people, back again for another week, new session, and the usuals. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Shout out to our new subscribers, a couple of them that have subscribed over the last week. Appreciate that. Make sure you spread the word. It doesn't stop there. Want to continue to let the channel grow, get bigger, do new things, man. But yeah. So like, comment, and subscribe, and share with your people. So let's get straight into it. Because we were just saying just now, like, football last couple of weeks have been a bit dead. No new narratives coming about. Everything's a bit sameish, City running away with it. Top four is a bit shambolic. Games in hand, all this and that. So it's a bit hard to pick up good concrete topics because you don't want to keep talking about the same things over and over. You don't want to keep talking about United and what's going on with them. You don't want to keep talking about how great Pep is and stuff like that. It gets boring. But focusing on Man City and about one player's greatness, Sterling. So Man City won against Norwich 4-0 and Sterling got a hat-trick. And I saw an interesting question because we have given Sterling his props. Me and Dan were talking about where he ranks amongst Prem greats or Prem wingers. But there's another question that I don't think has really been asked is where does he rank amongst, obviously he's still going, but where does he rank amongst the best English players? That's where he even gets less of his plaudits than he deserves. Because when you look at it from maybe, let's say the mid 2010s, so let's say from 2015 onwards, it's really between him and Kane that have been the best two English players. And we've seen even in international tournaments, Sterling's probably done more than Kane, and he hasn't really got his plaudits. So let me go around the panel, like, where do we rank Sterling maybe of the last 10 years? And then maybe, is there really a question that we can go based on like his overall, like the overall English spectrum of like, all the players that have been in the past? So Dan, where would you rank him in the last 10 years and maybe of all time
then? I think in terms of the last 10 years, I think he's the greatest England player. And I think the reason why is because obviously, like you mentioned, Harry Kane is the one that you'd really put him up with as the most consistent and highest performing. But the difference is Harry Kane, as widely publicized, has won nothing. And Raheem Sterling has a bag of trophies. He's won the Premier League, 3 times? He's won countless Carabao Cups. He's won the FA Cup once or twice. And it's not inconceivable that in the next 2-3 years that Man City will win another 1 or 2 Premier Leagues and maybe a Champions League. And like that on top of his consistent performances and sheer amount of goals, I think he's definitely the greatest, all things considered, English player of the last 5 to 10 years. But I think, I don't know why people don't really give him the sort of props that they give someone like Kane, for example. But I think one of the reasons why is because he plays for Man City, and Man City players don't really, apart from a couple, they don't really seem to get the same level of plaudits as other players maybe would. Like, for example, I feel like Leroy Sané, when he was in the Premier League, didn't get the plaudits that he probably deserved. And Man City, the Centurions, for example, I feel like that team doesn't get the plaudits that they really deserve. So I don't know, maybe he's a bit of a victim of that. But I think in terms of trophies, consistency, output, and just overall peak and ability, he's definitely the greatest of the last 5-10 years.
Because, when we even look at it, he's done more than Rooney. He's done more than Gerrard and Lampard in the England shirt. Like, what he did in the Euros is more than what they've ever done. Like
100%.
In the group stage at one point, he was the one like literally putting England on his back, taking responsibility, and he never really got the plaudits that he deserved. Denz, what about you? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was gonna bring up the point that Dan brought up. I think because of he's a City player, he's not gonna get the respect that he deserves. It's not because of him, it's just the team that he plays for. No one really gives a shit about Man City, if we're being real. Like, and in a broader terms, like, people just don't take to City. I don't know what it is with them. I don't know why, maybe because of they're like kind of a newish team. Obviously, they've been around for a long time, but maybe it's to do with like, I don't know, with fans and people watching football, there's narratives and stuff like that. So say if he was still in Liverpool and doing the same thing that he did at City, I feel like he would get a lot more plaudits because of it's Liverpool and the history behind Liverpool and I don't know, just the culture of the club. But because it's Man City, no one really cares about City like that. Like they're that team that everyone knows is good, everyone knows is dominant, but no one really takes to them. There's not really a strong hate for City. There's not really a strong love for City in a sense. So I feel like maybe that's too is that takes away from it maybe. But if we just look at the players himself, like Dan said, in the England shirt, I feel like he's done the most that anyone's done in the past 10 years because of, well, it's not really hard to top what they've done in the past 10 years. We've been crap internationally for a long time. And he's performed in big game tournaments, big games and big tournaments. So yeah, I'd rank him highly. If I don't know, in terms of Premier League and just looking at Premier Leagues, again, it makes it hard because he's a Man City player, but he's up there for sure.
He won the Golden Ball as well, innit? The young award thing, innit? I think he did.
Golden Boy?
Yeah, I think he won it. Yeah, he won it like 2013.
Did he win it?
Yeah, I remember. Sterling was a star boy, you know, when he was coming.
Yeah,
through.
he's been good for a long time.
He was a star boy coming through. All right, what's your thoughts about your boy Sterling and his English ranking? Would you say? You're on mute.
Weirdly, I kind of disagree with what Dan and Dezo said, just to some extent, because I think like City players sometimes are also overrated. We did see De Bruyne win we saw De Bruyne win I love De Bruyne, very good player, obviously. But obviously when he won the PFA whatever last season, don't think he deserved that. They have a couple other players that just get a bit overrated. I think that everyone can agree on that, to be fair. I think the problem with Sterling, and I think one of the major issues that this is just that everybody, that's a very popular issue in football and just in general, is people do not like to associate technicality with Black players. So the problem being like when people talk about Gerrard, Lampard, obviously they were midfielders, but Rooney, or even just like forwards who are, you know, people just do always associate technicality with them and stuff like that. And whereas a lot of Black players mostly just they're fast, they're powerful and stuff like that. And I feel like Sterling not being associated with technicality across his career span is something that has affected kind of how he's perceived. Because when a lot of people, you know, talk about Sterling, or they always just talk about, oh, you know, Sterling is just like super fast and he's just right there, and no one really associates the parts of the game where he can also be creative. There was a season where Sterling was, you know, racking up so many assists. I think he had one of the highest assists in a team like City, where there's so many like, you know, creative players and stuff like that. So he creates a lot. He does a lot, you know, outside of goal scoring, outside of being that fast pacey winger. And I feel like a lot of people don't recognize that. So I think that is one of the reasons that obviously there's also the case where like, yeah, he does play in a team that, you know, always, you know, win the league and stuff like that. So there'll obviously be that shadow of doubt that, you know, or maybe you're not that good, you just play in a very good team. So I agree as well with what Dan and Dezo said in that part. Yeah, I think that's just mainly it. That's how I kind of see it, to be fair, in terms of how people judge him. For England, I mean, we even saw before the Euros, I think a lot of people were even calling for him not to start. And he ended up going on to be the best player for them in the tournament. So it's just very confusing how people, you know, talk about the whole Sterling thing. But yeah, definitely he is one of the best English players. I think to ever play in the Premier League, I don't know, it's you have a lot of good players, very, very hard to, you know, judge. Say definitely in the top 5, probably just about. But yeah, and also in terms of wingers, he might actually be the best that comes to mind. I don't know, if to play in the Premier League, I can't really think of.
They'll say Beckham.
They'll say Beckham, yeah. But
Beckham? With that, man. It's not Beckham.
Yeah, people would say Beckham if you ask English players, but yeah, I think Sterling is definitely better than Beckham, to be fair. Who else can I think of? Yeah, I think that's probably is the best English winger to ever play in Premier League, most likely. But just saying that out loud, and we say that to a lot of people, like people just look at you like you're crazy. But when you actually spit it out and talk about it, like it's actually the truth. And even if it's not the best, then he's definitely like, you know, top 2 or something like that. But and his career is not even over. That's what's actually so crazy. So, and he's just 27, and this is like around the age. Not even around the age, because I'll say a lot of recently, a lot of players have been peaking like 30, 31. So he still has a long career to go. And physically, he looks really good as well. So you can see him having a lot of years to go with his career as well. So yeah, no, definitely by the time he retires, he would easily be the best English winger of all time, and he could push for like being the best English player of all time. But you know, it's really tough with the caliber of players who are up there, like Rooney and stuff like that. But also has a couple international tournaments as well to go. I think probably just one more good tournament for England, and yeah, he's definitely solidified himself as the best like for England in recent time that I can think of. But yeah, no, just very good player all around. I wanted him to come to Arsenal, I think, when he was in a bad form, because like everyone was dissing him and stuff like that, and like his market value was just very low. And I was like, this is the best time to go for him when nobody is. But now he had a good Euros, he's having a good season. I think he's his top 3 highest goal scorers now. So yeah, I don't think there's any chance of that. But I'd like to see him probably stay in Prem. I don't know. I'd love to see him move out, but I think like he already has a legacy in Prem, so he might as well just build on that. Probably just stay in City, or you know, yeah.
You know, there's a couple of things that you mentioned, and you mentioned about the Euros, and I remember even back to the World Cup 2018 when man were on him. Like Sterling has always had a chip on his shoulder. Euro 2016 as well, he was scapegoated a lot. Like, guy's got a strong mentality, bruv, because like obviously we know about the racism, we saw it, we've seen it. He's always had that. People have never liked him because obviously they think he's flashy and all this and that. So, you know, for him to build his way up, you know, you gotta respect him. But he's gonna have to do a lot more to get the plaudits, you can say, nationwide. Maybe like you said, one more international tournament where people be like, okay, fair enough, like this guy is very good. Like he does have to do a lot more than, let's say, a Harry Kane in that sense. With the technicality thing, you know me, I'm an eye test guy, innit? I'm an eye test guy. Sterling, he's good. He's eye technically, innit? But he ain't that. You get what I'm saying? He's good technically, but he's not like jaw dropping, innit? And I remember I saw this year. He had more flair at Liverpool. I remember when this guy was coming through. This guy had a lot of flair. I remember watching him in like the academies and stuff like that. Obviously, we know the thing about Pep. You know, you're part of the system. You kind of have to, would you say, water yourself down in a sense to work in it? And he still does have the flair. He still goes past players. But I remember Sterling's dribbling, like his close control when he was at Liverpool, was a lot more frightening and scary. And if he continued that sense, maybe you could say, yeah, because you would have shown a bit more individuality. And that's very key with people's perception of how great you are, the individual nature of yourself. That kind of pushes you up. And that's probably one thing that holds City players back, because especially since Pep's come, because not all of them, like look at Mahrez, for example. If he continued maybe at Leicester where he's the guy in it, maybe we would hold him to even higher regard, innit? But when you're just part of Pep's system and your Pep's team, you're kind of just an anybody in a sense. If you get what I mean, no one's really stands out.
I disagree though. I disagree. I think there's certain players in that team that are essentially like, I don't want to say the talisman because they're not like the highest scorers or whatnot, but they're seen as the best players within that team. And I think that's why their reputation and PR is kind of increased. Like De Bruyne, for example. De Bruyne is seen by a lot of the media and a lot of fans as the best player in that City team. Whether he is or is not is a totally different question, but that's what he's perceived as. And for that reason, like, I think he's kind of seen as a bit better than he is. Like, Sterling is not. A lot of fans, especially at the end of last season, as Ori was saying that Sterling wasn't that good, and that City were going to sell him and whatnot. And like, no matter how well he's performed, he's never really been seen as that talisman for City or England. So I think that's kind of hurt his greatness and his legacy a little bit, because he's not seen as that number one big name superstar, despite how well he's performed.
But do you know why De Bruyne is seen in that light? Because of his assists that he puts up, his numbers that he puts up are crazy. You see with City players, and obviously like the last couple of years now, you see how it always rotates. First they'll talk about Bernardo Silva, they'll talk about Gundogan before, they'll talk about Cancelo. It always rotates because no guy is the king. Pep's the king. Pep's always the constant that you look at with City. De Bruyne was the only one really that you could say, yeah, he was getting like best player in the world shouts or the best attacker.
I don't know, because I think especially the previous City team with like Aguero and David Silva, them two especially were seen as the talisman of that team for a long time.
It was still a team, man, because you had Sane, you had Aguero.
And even that's my point. Like, I think Sane was criminally underrated in this country because Aguero was seen as the talisman of that team. Even though he was injured a lot of the time, people didn't give Sane and Sterling and Bernardo Silva as well during that Centurion season the credit that I feel they deserve.
There's Fernandinho as well.
Yeah.
They just have players, man. They have players. Yeah, anything else on Sterling? Nothing on Sterling. Let's move on to another game this weekend. We're not really going to go into the game, the United-Southampton game, but just a couple conversations that might need to be had. Let's talk about Ralf. Not Ralf Ragnick, Ralf Hasenhuttl. They all sound similar, bro. They all got the same names. Fucking hell. His reputation took a hit with the 2 9-0s. Do you think we were blinded by those, like in terms of his overall performances? Because with Southampton, when I watched them, they're quite chaotic. You know, they're fun to watch, you know, because like they're just gung ho in it. There's no real control in the game, and I do kind of like that. But what's your assessment of Ralf as a manager? Like, how highly do you rate him, and should he get given even more plaudits than he's getting currently? So let me start with Ori.
I think he's a good manager, but I think he's a good manager for a team like Southampton. More plaudits than I wouldn't say he would survive or be stable enough in a team that expects more. I would say around that mid-table, you know, just a couple less, 13th, 14th is kind of like his, you know, go-to. And to be fair, I do think he can build with the Southampton team, which he actually has been doing. They are looking, you know, super promising as well. But yeah, I think he's a good manager. In terms of the 9-0s, it's one of those things that even despite those losses, like it's one thing where you lose 9-0, and then it's one thing where you lose 9-2 and, you know, dictate how you play the next games and the next games to come. But how they've actually bounced back, because 9-0 is not it's not just in any day's results. So how they've actually bounced back from those losses and, you know, still constructed themselves to be able to win further games along the season. You know, how he put together his team after that. I think he has actually been, you know, doing a decent job at Southampton. Also gotten some very good results in the season. When did they lose the 9-0? Was it last season?
Yeah,
to United.
Yeah.
United. I think they beat Liverpool.
Leicester,
They beat Liverpool last season as well. I think so. So yeah. So I mean, when you look at things like in that context, it's like, yeah, like They did have that very bad performance against United, but overall they still had a good enough season. And this season as well, they've looked good, gotten a couple of results in as well. I think they got a point against Spurs.
They beat Spurs.
No, they beat Spurs. Yeah, they beat Spurs. Got a point against United. Yeah, and these are games where you'd expect them not to get anything from, and they're doing so well in. So yeah, kudos to him on that department. But I think I'm not in a disrespectful way, but I think Southampton is his level. I do believe that he can build with Southampton though, so push them a bit higher in the table. But yeah, he's doing a good job with them at the moment, to be fair.
Denzel?
I think he's a decent manager. I feel like he's doing what he can with the facilities that he has. Like Ori said, I feel like Southampton is his level. Like they're 10th at the moment, which is pretty decent. It's not amazing, but it's not bad either. Like he's where they should be, or like whereabout. Yeah, I think he's nothing. I don't think it's amazing or anything. I just think he's okay, and he's doing what he needs to do. He's doing the job that he needs to do, basically. I don't really think too much of it, if I'm being honest.
Did you think that the 9-0s, do you think they fairly represented him, or do you think we overdid it with him?
The thing with the 9-0s is, if it was once, I would be like, okay, but because it happened twice, that's the issue of the 9-0 losses. Losing 9-0 twice, it has to have an effect on your reputation. It has to, because if no other manager has lost 9-0 twice, is there any other manager that's lost 9-0 twice?
Not that I know of, anyway.
Exactly. So it does have to go on his resume. But I don't think it's affected him too much, especially this season. Like it's last season or the season before that. It shouldn't still be affecting you now. You move on, you bounce back, and he's doing a decent job so far. So I don't think that should be tainted. I don't think that should taint his view for this season. Maybe the overall picture, we'll look at the 9-0s, but right now, I feel like it's unfair to hold him to that.
And what are you saying?
I think the 9-0s came at a weird time for him, because I think before he lost 9-0, people were beginning to overrate him. Like I remember when Southampton, beginning of last season, were after 4 or 5 games were top of the Premier League, and after 10 games, I think they were 8th, 7th, and people were saying, "Oh, Ralf Hasenhüttl, he's this, he's that, he's the next gegenpressing manager, he's Klopp 2.0," and then he lost 9-0 to Leicester, and then he lost 9-0 to United later in the season, and I think a lot of people wrote him off as he's nothing, man, and understandably so, because as Denzel said, you can't lose 9-0 once, let alone twice. Even Norwich and West Brom and Fulham and all these yo-yo teams that come up and down don't lose 9-0. So losing 9-0 is pretty embarrassing. But I think that's just it's pretty representative of his style though. Because I was even saying to you before, the gegenpress, in my opinion, the gegenpressing system doesn't it doesn't control games as much as a tiki-taka system, for example. And even if you look at Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, which is probably the elite level gegenpressing system in the Premier League and maybe even the world, as even them, I don't think they control games nearly as much as someone like City or Chelsea last season, which I don't know. I think especially when the level of player is significantly dropped, you can see a lot more holes as a result of that. And against some teams, he'll find success, like against Spurs and against Man United. And probably when they play Liverpool, they'll find success because of the way they're trying to play. But against other teams, like when we played them at the Emirates, for example, they struggled a lot. And especially in that first half, they looked very, very poor and very easy to cut through. So I think it's just like Ori and Denzel said, I think he's good for Southampton, but I don't see him really transcending anywhere further than that. I think in every style there's levels and leagues of managers. Even part the bus, there's levels and leagues of managers who part the bus, and it's the same for gegenpressing. I just think Hasenhüttl is not at the level of Klopp of gegenpressing, but he's not a bum at the same time.
I 100% get that. Yeah, So we're saying Southampton's is level. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Maybe like, obviously they're not in a good position, and obviously they just got Lampard anyway. But like an Everton sort of club where usually they're like 8th or something or 9th.
Is that much of a jump from Southampton though?
Not now, but I'm talking more like financially, innit? Because of what they could offer. Because obviously Southampton can't really offer him a massive like transfer budget to really push limits, innit? So yeah. So another talking point from the game and just this season in general has been United captain Harry Maguire and his level of performance. Man's cracking up already, Rev. But Denzel, you take the lead because it's your club, innit? What are you saying about your brethren? What are you saying?
With Maguire, I'm gonna look like a flip-flop. World class BS, but yeah, I rescind that. I feel like my issue is
you rescind your World Cup shots.
Yeah. My issue is not so much with him as a player. We've established that he's a bozo. I'm not gonna get into that too much, but my issue is the fact that he's captain of Manchester United. That is where my main issue lies. And my issue is the fact that he can put in a shit performance week after week and still get into the starting lineup. That's what is starting to piss me off now. And I'm not going to get onto him because it's not his fault that he's shit and he gets played every week. And it's not his fault that he's shit and is the captain of Man United. Now you have to start looking at the management. I'm not going to get onto Ralf too tough, but as an interim manager, you have seen this guy perform. You can probably establish that he puts in bad performances and he's not good for the team at the moment. Like he's not like he's been terrible his whole life. He's a competent centre back, but he's going for a rough. He's had a bad season. Drop him, or he doesn't want to drop him. I don't know why. Maybe Maguire has the CEO on the board, the nudes on his phone, and he's gonna leak or something like that. There must be a conspiracy or something like that because of he can play shit and just know that he's gonna start the next game. He can play shit and know that he's still gonna be a captain of Man United. So it's an issue with the management on the board. Why are you still playing this guy when Lindelof is available? Lindelof will probably put in he'll probably put in more of a shift than Maguire is at the moment, but he's not playing him. Bailly's available. He'll probably do a better job than Maguire is at the moment, but you're not giving them the chance. Any other player on that football pitch puts in the same performance as Maguire and they're losing their place in the squad. But because he's Maguire and he's the captain of Man United, he can play shit and play every game. And it pisses me off. That's why I'm not even going to get too enraged by it or whatever. But it's just, it doesn't make sense to me how you can keep on playing someone when they're constantly putting in bad performances.
Anybody got any thoughts?
Yeah, I think Denzel summed it up pretty well, but I don't think it's entirely Maguire's fault. Like he said, I think partially the fact that he gets picked every game, no matter how bad he plays, definitely doesn't help it. And the fact that he's United captain, meaning that he has a bit extra spotlight put on him, doesn't help the situation either. But especially now that Man United are playing a high pressing system, or trying to play a high pressing system where the defenders are expected to push high, that's literally the opposite of Maguire's strengths. Like you saw him against Broja. This guy was like doing 360s and pirouettes and no look defending. Like when with Maguire, you can't play Maguire on the halfway line. Pace is not his strong suit. Maguire's strong suit, when he looked his best with England and with Leicester, was when there were secure defenses, structured defenses with a defensive midfielder in front of him, maybe two, and the defenders are not high. They're on the edge of their box or in their box. And I mean, playing Maguire high is asking for trouble, man, especially against strikers in the Premier League that, like Broja, for example, who not only is quick but physical as well. Like, yeah, I think Maguire, like Denzel said, I think he needs time out of the first team. Give someone else a go.
But side topic, that Broja, he's good. He's
Serious player.
technically, I'm not impressed.
Serious
Like,
player.
but like physically,
Volk and Diego Costa.
Josh, what is technicality to you?
That's
Do
a
you
good
do you
question.
think I have a question for you, George? Do you think flair and technicality are the same thing? Yes or no?
That's a good question, actually.
Not really. Not really.
That's a vague answer. I don't know how to ask this, to be fair, because I think when you think technicality, you think Brazilian vibes, Vinicius
Hazard.
Junior, Neymar, Ronaldinho, or Eden Hazard, or Messi, or I think you just associate technicality with flair dribbling or aesthetically pleasing dribbling, and nothing else outside of that is technicality to you.
Nah.
From what I've seen, like how you describe it.
Oh, okay.
Or how I've seen it.
Not really. I wouldn't say that.
Ori, what do you think technicality is?
Technicality is the way something is done and how it is done to the level at which it's done to. If you how you strike the ball can, you're technically gifted if you can strike the ball a certain way. You're technically gifted if you can control the ball a certain way. You're technically gifted if you can do the fundamentals of football to a high level. That is what technicality is for me, basically.
But I've broken it down. I've broken it like it's close control, like your ball control, sort of the aesthetics of how you do things, isn't it? Dribbling is just one facet, but it's not really.
Yeah,
but it's still aesthetics, though.
Huh?
That's why. But it's still aesthetics, though, is what you're saying. Like, for example, like Martinelli aesthetically isn't that good, but I wouldn't say he's technically poor.
Yeah, but no one said he's poor, innit?
When you say
No, but that's my point. Like aesthetically, he doesn't look fantastic. He looks almost messy at times. But like technically, I still wouldn't say that's poor. So I don't think it's down to just aesthetics.
The thing is, aesthetics is heavily tied, or people heavily tie aesthetics with technicality.
Yeah,
so
that's my point.
The way I said, like if someone strikes the ball, so if someone strikes the ball, let's say someone hits the ball on like a half volley and like they hit it so cleanly and it just swerves that certain way, you're like, oh, okay, that's like, because that's what we like to see. But if someone can hit the ball in a unorthodox way, but it's still getting the same results, or it's still, scoring the same type of goal, but has his own way of doing it, then he's also technically gifted.
So who would you say from that? You say is more technically gifted?
That's a good question. That's a good question, to be fair. Although, yeah, you do tend to say the one who is better looking on the eye is more technically gifted. But in reality, if they can both score the same type of goal, but one is hitting it a bit cleaner, so like I don't know, and cleaner is subjective because however it goes in, you get me? So like, what would you say is technically gifted? Because a gift isn't specific. A gift can be unique.
Yeah.
Every player is different. Exactly. So it's like, I don't know, to be fair.
Obviously, it comes down to interpretation, but
it's a good topic, to be fair.
Because I have a quick question after
Josh. Yeah. I'm coming. Yeah. With like, because we'll talk about Broja in terms of like a technically gifted striker. Let's say Benzema. Benzema is not a very good dribbler. If you actually watch him, Benzema doesn't dribble. But he's technically very secure on the ball and he plays with such an ease. So as a result of that, and obviously what he does it well. So as a result of that, you would say he's a technically gifted striker. You get what I'm saying? Then Benzema doesn't need to dribble for me to say he's a very technically gifted player. You just see it. You can just see it by the way he plays it, by the way he moves. Because one thing we see with technically gifted players, they do it with such an ease because it's just natural to them. You get what I'm saying? It's just innate, the way they move the ball. They don't think too much. They don't rush. You get what I'm saying? And I'm not saying, let's say Mane. Mane is technically gifted, but you wouldn't say he's more technically gifted than a Hazard because he's a bit more haphazard. He's a bit more raggedy, if you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying? So with the technical, I think there is an aesthetics, but there's also an ease in which they do it. You get what I'm saying? Like there's a comfortability there. You just have it. You just have it. That's it. That's literally it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, when you say like, if I say like name a technical player, who's the first person that would come to mind? Or like name me players that would come to mind? Like when you say technicality, who exactly comes to mind?
Cesc Fabregas would come to mind for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
For me,
I think that's a good
Fabregas is
example.
that's
Fabregas is mad technical, and Fabregas
Yeah.
don't dribble. Dribbling is just like its own sort of thing. Like,
but
I gas up David Silva. David Silva's not a great dribbler.
because
Yeah. When I think of technicality, I think of like a Modric mode. Like I think of like players like Modric, those type of guys. And I associate with to an extent, I associate like control with it as well. I don't know.
Josh, do you think Harry Kane is a technical player?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he's a technical striker. Yeah, 100%.
Who do you think is more technically gifted, Benzema or Harry Kane?
Oh, Benzema.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't know if I agree with that at all.
And Benzema's got a velvet control, bro. He's just.
I don't think I agree with that at all.
I know where you're coming from.
See,
Harry Kane's got a great striker. Like Harry Kane, when he shoots, like he shoots with precision. Like, he can actually pick the corners out. But you know, for me, I never included shooting in technical ability. Like I don't know. I always look at it from like a Spanish perspective of just like
ball control,
close control, being at ease. Like I don't know, it's just innate. You can just.
But passing is technicality as well, and Kane has very
passing is technicality, and the reason why we like nodded strongly to Fabregas was because we all know his passing ability. So passing is something that people are very key about when they talk about technical ability, and passing and shooting should be looked at in the same way because it's essentially kind of the same amount of skill because you are putting the ball in a certain place to score, or you're putting the ball in a certain place to find a player, you know, or your teammates or something like that. But I don't know, to be fair, it's an interesting topic. Like I get your points as well. I get like all views. I think people just have a different way of looking at technicality in general, because it is a very like broad word, so it can, you know, mean different things. But yeah, fair enough.
And then final point is also like I always have like rankings in it. So like there's elite technician, very good technician, and a good technician. So let's say I would say Benzema's an elite technician. Haaland, for example, I would put maybe he's decent technically. He's not very good. Like he's not of that ilk. So because I have like rankings in terms of how I look at things, it will make me look not down upon a player, but I won't see them as comparable. So like the differences will kind of sway the way I look at how technical they are in it.
I think Benzema is just below elite, because or you have to create a different league, because I think in terms of the
that's
best
what I was gonna say.
technicians in the world, I only think of two players, and that's Neymar and Messi.
Yeah.
And I think both of them are in their own league, more or less. So, you know, create a list. But yeah, that's my opinion.
But, you know what, a lot of man, I don't want to say a lot of man can chat to them, but like say someone like Isco in his day. Isco was an elite technician. Like Iniesta's an elite technician. Like
he was, but the thing is, like all these players are technicians, but a lot of them they fall short in some certain areas of technicality. So Messi and Neymar are kind of like the Thanos of technicality, where there is nothing that comes short to them. Neymar and Messi can both dribble to a very high level. They can both shoot to a very high level. They can both take free kicks to a very high level. They can both pass to a very high level. So I think those are the only two players that comes to mind, like playing football right now, that can do every aspect of football to a very high level. And Denzel's giving me faces, and I hope he's not about to say someone who I think is about to say, because
nah, I'm not doing that. But I just what you said at this level right now.
Yeah, Messi.
I don't think Messi is on that level right now. I don't think Neymar's on. I don't think anyone is
like on that level right now.
Right now, they're not.
You know what?
For being rude,
I'm saying this on the podcast.
Maybe in their prime, yeah, but
I'm saying this on the podcast right now. All this Messi slander, everything that's happening now, at the end of the season, everyone is going to have a reevaluation. Oh, Messi's not actually finished, you know. It's not actually just wait for it. I mean, it always happens, but
Bro,
I don't
he's
know why people
evolving.
don't prep themselves for it.
He's evolving.
Whoa.
He's just
If Messi goes on a Champions League run and wins PSG the Champions League, now what happens? What happens to everything everyone has been saying now? Like,
that's what he has to. That's a bare minimum. And the team that he has, he should be doing that. No one gives a crap about your league. Championship. No one cares
Farmers
about
division.
That. As a bare minimum, you were brought there to what? To win them the Champions League. So Messi does what he's supposed to do. Oh, let's all clap for him now, even though he's been mid for the large majority of the season. Like, he's supposed to be doing this. I'm not gonna be like,
Wasn't Pep bought in to win the league for City and hasn't even doing that? But don't we still clap for him because he's still doing a very impressive job?
Yeah, but
even if you're doing what is expected, but it's still a challenge. I mean, because
what he's like, he's won multiple times as well.
He's just one player. He's just one player. He's not God.
But look at his system. Look at the team that is in. He should be winning the Champions League. Like, come on now. Like,
should be, but I could.
But football's not played on paper though.
I'm not gonna marvel for him over him doing what he's supposed to do. That's what he was.
Yeah, but I don't know why everyone has come to the conclusion. Like, everyone has kind of made like a final judgment that Messi is, it's done. It's not
a final judgment, I would say. I think obviously he's still Messi at the end of the day, but this season we just have to be real. He's not.
Yeah,
he's not that guy.
Let me explain it. Let me explain it. Yeah, when you watch Messi, yeah, his physical attributes have gone. Like, in terms of like, he can't. You're saying he can dribble. He can't dribble like that no more. What Messi has is incredible close control. That's just innate. That's what I was saying about him being like, Messi's an organic footballer. That's what the other guy falls down on Ronaldo. He's not organic, innit? Like Messi
What does that even mean?
Organic footballing ability. You just see his playmaking, his close control. Like, he can still operate in close spaces, but that physicality that allowed him to be just an absurd player where he could just go past literally like 6 players. You can't do that.
That's that burst of pace though.
Yeah,
he can still dribble.
Yeah.
But the burst of pace.
Messi can still dribble.
Yeah.
Not to the rate.
It's just a burst of pace. That's the only thing.
Yeah, he doesn't have it.
When he adapts his game to that, he'll resume.
He's just a pure playmaker now. He needs players close to him, but he can just playmaker at a different level. Like, what he just sees is different.
Okay, who can dribble better than Messi right now?
Adama's better dribbler.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll say that. You know,
Adama's a better dribbler.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
I don't even like Adama's
Oh
dribbling.
my word.
Is Adama?
Like, he can have the burst, takes one touch, and he can, move past his opponent and stuff like that. But
Nah, this guy don't have a burst. He's got steroids, bruv. He's got steroids.
he can so more or less, like how I see, he can only go like outside of players. He can like weave through players.
Yeah, but he's not. He doesn't have to. Like,
well, he doesn't have to. Yeah, that's the thing.
And plus, in the league that he's playing now, it's gonna be. He's gonna look a lot better.
There's no technical. There's no physicality.
Yeah, he would look a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah, but
more or less like
very tactical. Though. You gotta be quite smart. Like,
more or less like some aspect of like prime Bale, some aspect, because Bale was a bit more technical, but yeah.
I agree. La Liga is quite tactical, but is any of the teams in La Liga tactically even near their peak? Even near? Because I mean, Carlo Ancelotti is not even near the peak of the game in terms of tactically. Diego Simeone's Atletico right now are tactically all over the place. Xavi is in his first or second big season as a manager. Lopetegui's a good manager, but he's not an elite tactical manager. So I don't know. I wouldn't say that would have a massive adverse effect on Adama.
But he's a better dribbler than Messi now.
Who?
I know you're gonna say.
I knew you were going to say that.
No, he actually is. I don't care.
Who?
Sam Maximan.
Yeah, he is.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, he definitely is. He is.
He's not a better dribbler. He's not a better dribbler than Messi.
He is.
He's not a better dribbler than Messi.
Right.
Obviously, Messi can operate in tighter spaces than
Messi is not. He's not what he used to be. But that's to come with age.
pass.
It's obvious. Like that. It happens to everybody. He's human now.
Yeah.
It's true. I just love how everything is on tape.
Yeah, no, bro. I said it with chest, bro. I said it with chest. My chest out. So Maximan's a better dribbler than Messi.
Fair enough.
Saying that aloud sounds so funny.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm on crack.
So Maximan is a good dribbler.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a very good dribbler, actually.
Yeah,
But
100%.
still don't think anyone dribbles better than Messi right now.
Nah, even Mbappe can dribble better than Messi.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. I was about to say he might not
Mbappe is
even
a
be the
good
best
dribbler
dribbler
as
on
well,
his team.
but he doesn't dribble better than Messi.
Yeah. And then obviously my guy, he's finished, man. He's finished.
Hey,
And
don't
all these
mention
players
that
you said, do you
Burger
think they
King.
dribble better than Neymar?
See, Neymar, I haven't seen much of him this season, innit? Obviously,
neither have I.
historically, I would say no, but I don't know what's going on.
We're
with
talking
him.
about right now.
I barely seen Neymar this season because he's been injured for quite a while.
You know what?
Exactly,
The
so you can't
PSG,
give him that
that
credit.
reminds. Isn't Champions League back tomorrow?
Yeah,
Yeah,
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow's PSG versus
We're gonna mention it.
Tomorrow, yeah. That brings us
So
to,
we're gonna
I
see
think
him on
Neymar's back
full
as well.
display.
So we would see Neymar and Messi on full display. That would be something quite good as well. Also considering Madrid's form, it should be a very good game.
Yeah.
I'm surprised no one even said Vinicius when I asked for better dribblers.
Vinicius.
That's a good shout, actually.
Right now, yeah.
I think
Because
so.
I think Vinicius is a better dribbler than St. Maximin. Oh, it's up for debate, but I think he is most likely.
That's a tight one.
I think Vinicius is more secure than San Maximin is.
Yeah,
think
he is. Yeah.
I'm not
And I think he also has he's added the directness to his game as
Yeah,
well that
yeah.
St. Maximin doesn't completely have. So it just kind of edges it for him.
directness.
Yeah.
St.
Final
Maximin.
third play. That's the problem I always had with St. Maximin. I think final third, he can be a bit.
He's a pretty
Oh,
come my way baller.
Yeah, like vibes. Final third just enters vibes mode. But like that's what I've said recently. He's been getting better at that. Like the Everton game, he was so direct. Like he was, putting balls in, all of that, trying to get like. A lot of times he would do all of that dribbling and not even get a cross in. So
Yeah.
what's the point of?
That's the
what's
most frustrating.
That's the most frustrating. If I was a manager and like I just saw you do dribbles and you didn't get even a cross out, but like, oh my word. Like that's just so frustrating. I'd rather a player who can just run down and just put a ball in rather than someone just dribble and not even like attempt to cross or do anything like that. But,
is what he is. But speaking about St. Maximin, let's look at the relegation battle.
ooh.
What are we saying? So where's the cutoff point?
Firstly, all these games in hand kind of make the whole battle kind of not exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Top four as well. I don't really like all the game in hands, but obviously COVID times.
Where's the cutoff?
I think everyone in the bottom four now, in the bottom three now is gone. I think this is the relegation, I can't lie. Norwich, I feel, would try and fight the most, but I don't think there's anything they can do. It's just
Dean Smith as a manager,
too much of a task for them. Yeah, not going anywhere. Watford aren't looking. Yeah, I think and Newcastle playing better, 3 wins in a row. Everton, new manager, new signings. I think they'll push up as well. Leeds, I think Leeds will get relegated. Yeah, I think that bottom three right now is going to be the bottom three at the end of the season. Look at Brentford, man. All the gas of them finishing in like top half. Word.
Brentford. Next season they're going down in my
No.
opinion.
But that's the thing. Don't be surprised if one of these like teams. I think Crystal Palace will be all right, but I wouldn't be surprised if one of these teams, most likely Brentford,
get dragged down. I don't know. It's just too far.
I feel like if it's not this season with Brentford, it'll be next season.
Yeah, I feel like.
And I'll be smiling when they go down. I'll be smiling when they go down because I'm not gonna forget what their manager was saying about us. So when they go down,
yeah, he was so angry about you guys.
Yeah.
Hey. Let's put out the Champions League. PSG, Real Madrid. Oof.
Oh, I miss this competition so much.
Bro, I think we need this, man. We need it,
pinnacle.
man.
It's the pinnacle.
We need it, man. But yeah, I think they're saying Neymar's back in it, so I don't know. But saying that,
prediction, Joe.
With that front three, Messi, Neymar, Mbappe, I don't think they work as well, to be honest.
Yeah, and I've thought about it as well. I thought about it as well because even when if you think about the front three and I like their personalities, like firstly, like I've made known, I don't really like Mbappe as a striker. So let's say you play Mbappe in what I think is his best position, left wing. You play Messi in his best position, which is I think right wing, and then you're left with Neymar to play as a false nine. I don't kind of think that kind of balances out very well. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a bit. I don't know whether I prefer Neymar on the wing or Neymar as a 10, and then you have him like out and out striker underneath it. But I feel if PSG had a striker, I think they need a striker. If they had like obviously Mbappe is leaving and all of that, so they won't be able to maintain the.
There's a Cardi left.
Sorry?
Well, they still have a Cardi.
Don't mention that.
They still have the Cardi. I think Cardi's going, but yeah, I'm talking about a real striker. No offense to Cardi, but
where's the space for the proper striker? Where's the space for the proper striker?
So a proper striker between. So let's say like if they started the season with a proper striker, he would play between Mbappe and Messi. A complete striker, so to say. Someone who can, go out, score goals, and someone who can also drop deep. So play between Mbappe and Messi, and then Neymar plays as a 10, and then you have two midfielders behind Neymar. I think that would be the perfect formation of PSG. But a front three of Neymar, Messi, and plus Messi and Neymar are also too close stylistically. Like they both kind of play the same way, dropping deep, trying to control play. Like one of them needs to be out and out, and I don't think both of them can because it's just kind of in their nature to drop deep and just like try and control the game and go from deep. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Who are you saying are the favourites for the game?
I don't think Benzema is super fit. I heard apparently he might not start or he might not play for 90 minutes. But
what are you saying?
Favourites are probably PSG, but I have a feeling that Madrid might win the first time.
Yeah,
I see them too. Because
I think Madrid.
I see PSG winning, keeping the ball up because Real Madrid will happily concede possession, and Real Madrid on the counter attack are dangerous, especially with Vinicius. So,
and quick reminder: no longer away goals, so that's going to be exciting. We're going to have a lot of pens in this round. It's going to be so crazy because you're going to see a lot of times.
All right, let's go through this one by one. So PSG, Real Madrid. I think I'm going to put Real Madrid as the favourites. Dan?
Yeah, I agree.
Denzel?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going for PSG.
Sporting Man City. Yeah. RB Salzburg versus Bayern City. Don't be
Bayern, but I feel like Salzburg would give them a game, at least in one of the ties. Like they would. I'll go through. Into Liverpool.
Liverpool are starching them.
Liverpool
are starching them. Inter in poor form. Italians don't translate well to Champions League. Liverpool's high pressing, high intensity football.
It has to be Liverpool.
They're running
one of those legs. They might actually, they might be
4-5-0.
One of this possible.
I just look at Inter. Inter just don't have any outlets really. So.
And they're too slow.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, Dzeko and Lautaro, you'll keep them quite easily. They don't really have anything like scary about them. They're a good side, don't get me wrong. I don't know. You just need that guy at times, innit? And I don't think they have that, all honesty, to be honest. But yeah. Anything else that we need to cover? I think we've covered everything, really.
What about the other two ties? Or is that?
I think that's for next week, isn't it?
Is that next week?
Yeah,
okay,
Chelsea.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's next week.
Okay.
So there's only those 4 games for the this week. But yeah. So I think that's it. People. You might know the usuals: like, comment, subscribe, share with your people. We should have done a sweepstake or something like that. Maybe next time or something. Just to keep it a bit interesting. But yeah, comment below your thoughts. Shout out to all the man them that are commenting. Shout out to everybody that's sharing and subscribing. All love, man. We appreciate that. But yeah, people, We out. See ya.